Thank you so much for coming to our second annual Women in Military event. We are so happy that you are here, and it's a real blessing to have you here. And on some of your chairs was a little saying, she is a soldier. Heavy is the crown, and yet she wears it as if it were a feather. There is strength in her heart, determination in her eyes, and the will to survive resides within her soul. She is you, a warrior, a champion, a fighter, and a queen. So today is your day to be a queen. So thank you so much for serving in the military. The Women in Military event was dedicated by President Truman in 1948. He signed a declaration so that women could be more than just a nurse in the military. They could serve in the military. And then in 2008, the day was taken for June 12th would be Women in Military event. And so Nebraska is one of the states that does recognize June 12th as the Women in Military event. So we're so happy that you all came. Relax, have fun, and thank you so much for serving in the military, saving us all for freedom.
Most colored.
So now we will say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are filled with solemn remembrance and boundless gratitude. We recall the brave souls who answered freedom's call, the sons and daughters who stood strong, and the profound sacrifices that they and their families endured. We ask you to bless each veteran gathered here today and those we hold in our memories. Surround them with support and understanding, and remind them that they are never alone. Bless them with joy, now and always. May their actions always reflect the deep appreciation we hold for their service. Guide us today that we may honor their legacy with every word and deed. Amen.
Thank you, Jean. The next thing we will have is Dan Naranjo. Dan is from All Faith Funeral Home. He's going to speak about women in the military, and it's all yours, Dan. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Sherry, and thank you everyone for having me this afternoon. The impromptu national anthem was amazing. Just to hear that, wasn't it? Sometimes we just have to go with the flow. And prayer was very inspirational. And when Sherry talked about if there's a disaster, you have all these exits, that might be my speech here. But to all those who have served and continue to serve, we give thanks. It was, as I was reflecting, I was 13 years old when our United States of America celebrated its bicentennial, our 200th anniversary of being blessed with freedoms of which soldiers have sacrificed and fought. Now, I'm much older, 50 years later, soldiers continue to sacrifice for our continued freedoms. A significant change over the years is the leadership roles of women serving in the armed forces. Before 1948, women served in the U.S. military primarily during wartime and often in auxiliary or voluntary capacities. And during World War II, over 350,000 women served in organizations as the Women's Army Corps, WAC, Waves for the Navy, SPARS for the Coast Guard, and the Marine Corps' Women's Reserve, performing essential support role while men were deployed in combat. After that war, there was a push to make women's service permanent, as temporary wartime enlistments were ending and the Women's Army Corps law was set to expire in 1948. There was a legislature bill. This bill was introduced to the 80th U.S. Congress by Margaret Chase Smith of Maine. It faced opposition from some House members, including Walter G. Andrews and Carl Vinson, who argued that women should serve only in reserve capacities until their peacetime service could be evaluated. After debate and amendments limiting the number of women in regular status and staggering officer commissions, the House approved the bill on June 2nd of 1948, and the Senate passed it unanimously on May 26th of that year, and President Harry S. Truman signed it into law on June 12th of 1948. There is a beautiful poem that I came across for military women embodied in courage, resilience, and unwavering dedication, standing strong in service and sacrifice. And so this tribute poem is titled, "The Warrior Woman." She stands where courage meets the dawn, a soldier's heart, yet wholly her own. Through battles fought on distant lands, she carries hope in steady hands. Her uniform a shield of pride, yet strength and grace walk by her side. In silence she bears the weight of fear, yet lifts her comrades always near. And through nights of longing, days of strain, her spirit rises unbroken by pain. A force of nature fierce and true, the warrior woman brave through and through. This poem draws inspiration from the experiences of women in the military, reflecting both their valor in combat and their inner strength required to navigate challenges unique to their service. Poets like Maya Angelou and Emily Dickinson and Sylvia Plath, they have celebrated female warriors, highlighting their courage, grace, and determination. Women veterans often write from personal experience, capturing the emotional and physical realities of military life, including sacrifice, resilience, and the bonds formed in service. And your own chapter of the DAR is named after a woman who made a difference during the Revolutionary War. Betsy Hager cared for the wounded as well as forging cannons and weapons back into service. Now, throughout history, women have had to battle for recognition and equality. Women having the right to vote in 1918 was met with many challenges. My parents' generation was like that of Ward and June Cleaver. My mother was a stay-at-home mom to take care of my father and 7 children. I will tell you, She did not call Dad to the supper table until his food was on his plate. But as we talk about changes, after 43 years with the Union Pacific Railroad, when my father retired, one evening he asked my mom, he says, "Hon, what's for supper?" And she looked at him and says, "I don't know, what are you making?" They had 72 years of changes together. And now the norm is to have both parents in the workplace, often just to make ends meet. I will share, as a funeral director, when I attended mortuary school 43 years ago, there was 90% male to female ratio of those going into my profession. Now, 43 years later, it is about 90% female to male ratio. So how times are changing. Women have always had and continue to have the most important role in history. My wife paid me to say that. No. Their unconditional love, their strength, their resilience, and inner strength have embodied the reminder that no matter what or our own personal journey is, we are here to make a difference, each and every one of us. And throughout 250 years, our constant has always been God's love and soldiers willing to fight for our liberty of freedom. During the heat of battle, the soldier shared with Abraham Lincoln, "I'm so thankful that God is on our side," as which Abraham Lincoln replied, "No, I think we should be on God's side." And Jesus shared, "Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friend." The Gospel of John 15, verse 13, expresses the ultimate form of sacrificial love. The verse sets the standard for Christian love, showing that true love involves giving of oneself, even to the point of death. To the women of our armed forces, we want to thank you for your sacrificial love in making a difference, in making our country and our world a better place. We say thank you, unless we forget. Thank you so much.
Dan, you can just stay here because you have made our world a better place. Grand Island is a better place because of Dan, the Rancho Dan. Dan, you have to stay up here. I'll give the microphone to the other ladies.
First of all, I'd like to introduce, I got two helpers here today. One is Carmen Larson. She's the new regent for Betsy Hager chapter, and Vicki Wilkinson. She is the chair for the Community Service Award. This award, our chapters throughout the United States are allowed to have 2 community service awards a year, and it's a process of. It takes longer than just a few days or a few months to determine these particular people. It can be an organization, it could be an individual, a group, whatever it might be, but it takes time for us as we keep track of what they're doing. And it takes about a year is what we usually do. And we do newspaper articles, we do bulletins like you have today. We have recommendations from individuals in the community. It might be the American Red Cross individuals, or it might be the Grand Island Express that brings our wreaths in every year for Wreaths Across America. So it's a process that we go through. And today, the Betsy Hager chapter, NSDAR, considers it an honor and a privilege to recommend Dan Norano for this year's Community Service Award. I've got quite a few things to share with you. Some of these things you might know, some you might not. Dan is a native of North Platte. The family moved to Grand Island in 1987. They have 2 children, Caitlin and husband Joel. They have two children, Tommy and Mila, and son Dylan and wife Katie. I want to recognize Dan's wife, Karina. She supports many of Dan's events and who is recognized as well in her support in our community. Dan has been a funeral director since 1985, opening All Faiths Funeral Home in 2000. Dan is a member of St. Leo's Catholic Church, Grand Island Rotary, South Locust Business Association. He has served on the board of directors of Central Plains chapter of the American Red Cross, CHI Health St. Francis, Heartland United Way, Grand Island Area Chamber of Commerce, Greater Grand Island Community Foundation. He serves on the board of directors for Home Federal Bank and recently became an inductee into the inaugural Leadership Unlimited Hall of Fame. This was established in May 2026 to recognize pivotal organizations and individuals who have shaped the Grand Island community. And recently, I believe this week, Dan received the Spirit of the Rotary Award as well. Dan takes part in community events in which he was the speaker, providing invocations and prayers for events. We wish to recognize just a few moments in this past year. Histories of Funerals Then and Now. He presented the program on May 21st here at the Hargis House, as well as for the Prairie Pioneer Genealogy Society. A tribute to our Vietnam veterans on April 30th, 2025. This was a recognition ceremony for those who served Hall County during the Vietnam War and gave the ultimate sacrifice. This, the 50th anniversary of the fall of Saigon. Dan was the featured speaker for this event and read the names of fallen heroes. He was here for the 46th and 47th annual Memorial Day services, that's this year, at the Hall County Memorial Park. He was at the dedication of the new Nebraska State Cemetery on July 12, 2025, delivering the invocation. Dan and his wife Karina provided lunch following the groundbreaking ceremony at the new Veterans Cemetery in 2023. Fundraisers to assist families in need. In 2023, All Faiths Funeral Home, along with area monument companies, rallied to assist in fundraising of $150,000, helping families who hadn't received a headstone they had paid for. Dan said, "It's heartbreaking to know that someone would take advantage of grieving families." Again, Dan providing community spirit in the wake of such a sad event. He is a get-involved kind of guy, no matter what the situation. Dan's oldest brother, John, served in Vietnam and died soon after returning home. The loss had a profound impact on Dan at the age of 12 years. Dan did not serve in the military, but he understands what it means as he provides concern, care, and compassion daily as he participates at many veterans events or as he lays to rest a veteran at our local cemeteries. Karina shared a little bit with me about her family service. Her uncle served in Vietnam and her great-grandfather served in the Union Army in the Civil War. Karina said, "We as family realize that freedoms we experience and take for granted every day was paid for by our soldiers, servicemen, and women and their families, whenever and wherever they have served." Dan honors our military who have served, giving the ultimate sacrifice. He recognizes our veterans who are with us today in many, many ways, and supports those who are currently serving our country, providing us the freedom we enjoy. It is our pleasure as we recognize Dan with our distinguished NSDAR Community Service Award. Thank you very much, Dan. Karina, if you would please come up. I would like one more photo moment, if you could take a photo with the
Where
group.
would you like me?
Right there.
Here, I'll
You're good, there you go. We don't want you to hide. This way.
Carmen and Vicky
This
for
way.
aviation. And Mike was here, who was Army Infantry. So we were stationed in Fort Bliss, Texas for a while, and then we went to Fort Benning, Georgia. I was stationed with an infantry task force there. He deployed twice overseas to Djibouti, Africa, and to Kuwait. And we have 4 kids now. We live in Archer, Nebraska. I got out as a captain.
My name is Jen McCready. I served from 2003 to 2017. I was in the U.S. Navy. My first ship was VDG 94. I'm a plank owner. I pre-commissioned that. My second ship was USS Enterprise, CVN 65. I was part of the decommissioning crew on that. And then my third ship was the USS Abraham Lincoln. I also served on shore at Nick Tam's Land, which is communications and all of that, and then Naval Station Norfolk. I was deployed 7 times. I missed a lot with my kids and everything. I was unfortunately medically retired, but I'm happy I get to see my kids grow up and just move on and be happy. Anybody else?
Are you here?
My name is Morgan Eckhoff. I'm from Aurora, Nebraska. I recently got out in March. I was a 68 Whiskey in the Army National Guard, which is a combat medic. I served with the 2nd 134th Airborne Infantry Battalion out of Bellevue.
I'm Mary Phelan, and I served in the Army Medical Specialist Corps. I did my internship after college as a dietitian, and then I stayed another year. And it was a wonderful experience. And I was stationed at the Presidio in San Francisco, which is closed now, but it was a beautiful place.
Hi, my name is Mary Link. I'm originally from Ravenna, but I live in Lincoln now. So thanks for the invitation. I joined the Army as a direct commissioned nurse corps officer in 1983 or 1984, and I served until 2019. So when I retired from the Army Reserve, I moved back to Lincoln to take care of my dad. So a little over 35 years. I had brought my uniforms back there if you wanted to take a look. I retired as a Major General, so that's a 2-star General Officer. I know my hometown's pretty proud of that. So. But yeah, just lots of different experiences and meet lots of different people, and so this kind of celebration is just wonderful, and I think we should all thank you guys for doing this for us. I know there's celebrations in Lincoln and Omaha, and probably all over. I think there was one more thing. Oh, I did deploy to Kuwait for 11 months, where I was a medical task force commander, where we did our organization was in charge of all the medical logistics for all of the theaters. So, thank you.
I haven't done what this people have done. I'm Lily Peterson, and I was an Air Force nurse from 1961 to 65. I was an OB nurse, so I took care of the mothers and babies for the flyers. When I first went in, I asked for California, and they gave me something called Mountain Home, Idaho. After 2 years, I hadn't done anything but Mountain Home, so I re-upped. And I asked for Japan, and they gave me England. But I did get to travel some there, and I've done a lot of traveling. And when I got out, I wanted that military time to count towards retirement. So I decided to work for the government, and I went to work for the VA. And I did that in California, Long Beach, California. And I stayed there until I retired. So I did 35 years of nursing. I've got a back to prove it. And I got out as a first lieutenant and I was very happy to serve.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Is there any other veterans?
Yes.
Two right there in front.
I'm not raising my hand.
But you were former military?
Yes.
Okay, would you like to speak and tell us about your time?
I can tell you about 30 seconds if I stand up and have this. Never talk through some of
You'll be fine, just don't hold it too close to you.
My name is Sherry Lane Barnhart. I'm a Grand Island native. Been around and around. Served in the Air Force first, jumped out because I was married, and at that time, marriage wasn't what it was as today. Women usually fly the jets now, and Papa stays home with the children. But anyway, I then had some women friends, and I decided, well, I'm kind of tired of the Air Force. I wanted to join the Navy, but I was afraid to, I couldn't swim. Let's say. I'd get down and go out and walk. But anyway, went into the Air Force, got out for a little bit, went into the Army, and totally decided, Lord, nah, this isn't for me. And so got out again, went back to Air Force Reserve, and retired.
All right.
So that's my story. Thank you for having me.
I'm Karen Vivian. I was in the Navy for 3 years as a psychiatric technician. So I'm really old. I was in the Navy during 64 and 67. Okay, we had neuropsychiatric patients and officers' country, and our highest officer was a rear admiral. What a character. He was depressed, but anyway, helped him out and he went back to duty. And a variety of other patients, and enjoyed it for the most part. I wish I had learned to play bridge because that was the way a lot of people interacted. But I interacted with gin and not gin to drink, but, which I'm sure they would have loved, but cards. We also went to the Army-Navy game with our patients, and that was, what an experience. And so it was ping pong and making, going to PT and OT and that kind of thing. So, and then a mat I ordered for the back door didn't arrive after waiting for it for 2.5 years. And I was at the point I wanted to go buy one myself. And that's probably the only way I was going to get it. But anyway, so 3 years in the service, and I used the GIBL to go to nursing school. And so, but my station was USNH number 5, Philadelphia. And I wanted to go aboard ship at least once, and that venture was in a submarine dry dock. So that was my adventure, aboard ship. And so I can say that my niece came at a time when women aboard ship, they did all the duties that men did, which I would have liked to have been, been able to experience. So that's my story, and I'm thankful to the Navy for helping me out with my career. Wasn't much money, but back then in '67, I was able to pay for my education, partially pay for it. I had to work weekends as a waitress, and as a Red Garter girl. With a feather hat. And a costume with fringe. The whole outfit. I made more money doing that So, anyway, that's my story.
Thank you so much.
Before I introduce Tina Johnson, the Quilt of Valor lady, I'd like to say Mary Phelan was one of our recipients last year for a Quilt of Valor. So Mary, thank you for coming back. And the Quilt of Valor is a handmade quilt, and I'll let Tina tell you about it, but I did find, and maybe Tina has better information, but it said that so far the quilts have comforted, as of May 31st, 2026, last year, 2,716 quilts were given away. Year to date, 11,679 quilts have been given away. And the lifetime total of quilts given to veterans is 447,658. So each one of these quilts are handmade, hand sewn by wonderful ladies, and Tina will tell you all about it. So
I'm
Tina
the
Johnson.
leader of the Grand Island Quilt of Valor Society. And I'll give you a few little updates and details. I don't have a lot of information. We picked the word society for our name because the society is a single focused group. So, but we cheat and we spell it SEW dash CIETY for our sewing. The Quilts of Valor movement as a whole has spread across the nation and beyond through the power of word of mouth and the internet. In 2005, it became a national nonprofit headquartered in Winterset, Iowa. And 21 years later, it is still run and maintained on donations only. I'm always surprised at how many people have never heard about or know about the Quilts of Valor. But until 2023, I was one of them. I established this group in Grand Island in 2023 in June, and we meet monthly at a church, and it fluctuates between 5 to 25 people, just kind of depending, like any group, it fluctuates. All skill levels, all sewing levels, abilities are welcome to join the group. With the donations that I receive, I purchase Quilt of Valor labels, fabric, and batting for the group, and the thread for the long armor. And then that is brought every month to the meetings, and they can, they shop the local stuff there. Some of the women will take it and go home and make the quilt, and then in a month or two bring it back, just the top. That's how they bring them to me, just the tops. So I receive about 4 tops a month when I go to the meetings. And my part in the process is to iron and measure them, because when we do group awardings, they have to be like size. So I have to know what size they are. I put on a temporary label to them, and so I know who made it and what size it is, and then I put it away until I need it. And then when I do need them, I pull them out, and I get the backing and the batting together, and then I get them off to the quilter. And once they're returned to me, I bind them, and I apply the Quilt of Valor label, which makes the official label, and then I document it and log it, and then at that point it's an official Quilt of Valor quilt. To date, my group has made 127 completed quilts. That's bound, labeled, and counted. And then with today's that I'm going to do, 118 of them have been awarded, just with my group alone. Okay, now it's time for the fun stuff. Okay, Chantel, you want to come up? And Jenny, you want to come up? Make you turn around and face these people. Okay, so again, thank you. I represent thousands of Quilt of Valor members and volunteers from all over the country and the world, and I'm honored again that I was asked to speak to you and to award Chantel and Jennifer their Quilts of Valor. We are eternally grateful to you and thank you for your service to our country, the duties you performed, and the sacrifices you and your family made so we can enjoy the freedoms we enjoy today. The mission of the Quilts of Valor Foundation is to cover service members and veterans touched by war with comforting and healing quilts. The quilt is an expression of gratitude. It consists of 3 layers held together by stitches, and we like to think of the layers in this way. The top of the quilt, with its many colors, shapes, and fabric, represent the communities and the many individuals that we are. The batting, the filler, is the center of the quilt, its warmth. It represents our hope that this quilt will bring warmth, comfort, peace, and healing to the individual who receives it. The backing is the strength that supports the other layers. It represents the strength of the recipient, the support of his or her family, our community, and our nation. Each stitch that holds the layers together represent love, gratitude, and sometimes the tears of the maker. Quilts of Valor began in 2003 when Catherine Roberts of Delaware had a son deployed in Iraq. She was a military mom, a nurse, and a quilter. Catherine had a dream of gloom, where in the middle of the night, a young soldier was having a hard time sleeping due to worry and fear. Then all of a sudden, the soldier was wrapped in a quilt, and the atmosphere changed to hope and well-being. Catherine believed quilts were healing, and she began making quilts for wounded warriors returning home. Working with the hospital chaplain, the first quilt was awarded to a soldier in Walter Reed Hospital. And as you already know, as of today, 447,658 Quilts of Valor have been awarded to U.S. active military and veterans. A Quilt of Valor is a one and only lifetime award. It's awarded to U.S. military and veterans in all branches of service. Citizens of Australia, Canada, England, and Korea have joined in this effort to thank their servicemen and women. In 2005, with less deployment overseas, the National Quilts of Valor Foundation changed the focus to awarding quilts to veterans at home. So on behalf of the Quilts of Valor Foundation and in recognition of your service to this nation, it's a privilege to honor you with this Quilt of Valor. Please accept it in the grateful thanksgiving for your service and sacrifice in the defense of our country. And I want to say that when I did this one last year, and some of the women in the group wanted to make quilts for you guys this year. So I have 2 of those quilts for you. This one I believe is, this one is Jen's. Show everybody. Coming around. Maybe. Okay. Maybe not. Here we go.
Okay.
I know. And Chantel's is similar, just different. Same but different.
Same but different. Oh, that's gorgeous.
We know you left home to protect us. We say thank you because we know that freedom is not free. Please know that your family, friends, community, and a grateful nation appreciate what you have done. Please use this quilt. Do not put it in a box, into storage, or on a shelf. The maker of the quilt wants you to feel cared for and comforted as you cover yourself in it. And if you've not heard these words before, welcome home. Thank you.
Glad that you can do impromptu things for us. Now, I guess the song, Oh America, that Caitlin was going to sing is just an amazing, wonderful song. So it's sung by the Celtic Women, and it's written by Brendan Graham and William Joseph. So if after you go home, if you want to just Google that and listen to the song, I guess it's a pretty amazing song. We're sorry she wasn't here because her voice is angelic. But if you can all rise again, we will have the taps by the United States.